Because without the freedom, we don't have the right to our own purpose anymore.
So it was awesome, dude.
Ooh, that's
Freedom.
powerful.
Hey, this is about control. Everybody knows. Everyone complies. We're the kinds of pros. I don't need a plane. I just hit the road. I do what I want. I can't sell my soul. Market about to crash. This is what you chose. Ruining the country. I think that's the goal. You gonna take the mark. I take narrow roads. I'm a man of God. I can never fold.
All right, so
We already did it.
welcome
No
to the
intro
Protect
needed.
Your Purpose podcast, where we talk whiskey business, friends, family, and freedom.
Froze up.
Where we talk
He
whiskey.
fucking
I don't fucking remember what it is. This is why I said I have to memorize
Cue
this.
card.
You say it.
Cue card.
You say it.
Whiskey, business, friends, family, and freedom.
Well, you're the fucking host. from
Hell
now on.
yes.
All right, welcome to the Protect Your Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Matt Marchese. Nope,
I'm not.
not your host. Not yet. I'm not your host because first I have to say whiskey, business, friends, family, and freedom, and the purpose for all. And joining me today is my esteemed colleague and guest host.
I'm not a guest fucking host.
I'm sorry. Zach, the tiny foot Grady. And of course, my lovely and beautiful wife, the Lindy Marchese. Welcome to the show, honey.
Bigfoot, Lindy Marchese.
You're supposed to say thanks loud enough
Thank you.
so people can hear me
Thanks.
or hear you. You got to talk louder. You're gonna have to put some,
Okay.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
wouldn't put bass in your voice. I would just speak up a little.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Perfect.
Today, we've got some multiple formats on the show, but today we're doing
We're going to talk about those multiple formats. How
we're
about
doing
that?
an intro format, which is going to be a bonus format, which will never be used again. Because
Hopefully.
this is episode 1,
pilot.
our
podcast.
pilot podcast episode. So welcome. Thanks for being here, you two.
This is all the
Hey,
bloopers.
you're
and
welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate
You are so
coming.
welcome.
fuck ups.
What are your thoughts so far on our podcast setup there, Tiny
I
Foot?
mean, that's not going to be a thing.
Littlefoot? So on the intro, we decided that every episode, Zach is going to land himself a new name, which is definitely going to be a dig and a zinger. I'm going to send a zinger.
Every once in a while, can we throw a compliment in, maybe? Just to catch me off guard.
Do something good.
Oh, that was nice of you.
Oh, do something good. You know, listen, I know your love language is words of affirmation, right?
That's what my wife tells me, yeah.
Yeah. So, is that real? It really is. Yes.
I can see that.
That's
So
what
when
she
I
says.
need some good fucking energy out of you, I'm going to throw you a compliment. Just do something good, bro. I'm a words of affirmation guy. I like complimenting people.
Yeah.
Real
It helps.
Okay.
And I guess, like in recruiting, I always used to, like awards drove me. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess it is words of affirmation.
Recognition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Recognition is words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Awards drove you, huh?
Yeah, more so than anything else, probably. Yeah.
Was it bragging rights to the awards or was it...
I think so. And just knowing I was better than everybody else.
I had that... Dude, when I was in recruiting, that was me, not Lindy.
Not me. I wanted
No.
everyone else to win and be the winners. And
Yeah.
So
for
what's
sure.
what's her love language? We
Mine
kind of
is
got
touch,
off course
which
a
is
little
so
bit there,
weird.
but this is our 15 minutes of bullshit, right?
Yeah, this is the fucking intro. This is on the fucking agenda.
Yeah, this is okay. You guys are doing good. Keep it up.
Yeah, I agree. So, culture index wise, it's
No, fuck you. That's not what I said. I said, what's her love language?
mine is touch.
Yeah, she answered you and you ignored her.
I did.
So I
I
figured
totally
we were moving
ignored
on.
her.
You asked the
Anyway,
question.
culture
way.
index.
I thought we were ignoring her. That's what you did. You didn't certainly
Sorry, Lindy. Sorry.
acknowledge her
touch.
response.
Hers is touch.
Yeah.
So
Touch. What are your thoughts on that?
I
she
thought
says that's
mine
bullshit.
would be words of affirmation for sure, but
really,
yeah, I like being.
like a
praised.
good back massage, little hug, hold hand. You guys hold hands?
Yeah, we hold.
Do
hands
you?
quite
All
a
the
bit.
time.
All the time. Actually, we held hands and fell asleep last night.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
That's adorable.
We did. It's not like a every night thing, but for some reason, you grabbed my hand and we fell asleep.
Who's the big spoon and little spoon?
That is the cutest.
We're not
We
cuddlers.
we don't cuddle.
I was
we have-
really
They
hoping.
They were
I was
actually
really
holding
hoping
hands on
Lindy was the
opposite
big
sides
spoon.
of the bed. They were like,
Yeah.
I was really hoping Lindy was the big spoon.
Dude, there's no fucking way. Even if I wanted to be the little spoon,
Usually,
which
we
sometimes
have a
I do,
Every
4-year-old
once in a while
our
you
bed.
do.
I feel like, oh yeah, we have a divider. We have a little cock block that
Yep.
lands right in
I
the
got
crack.
two. I got two dividers.
Yeah, you do. You got double spacing. Yeah, it's called a double spaced.
Yeah.
That's right. No, we have like one of those split king deals where I'm on my bed and she's on hers. I've got mine slightly elevated to
We lose
prevent
everything in the
congestion.
crash.
Change the you know what word I'm looking for.
Elevation.
That density, cushion.
Oh, no, we don't have like a sleep number.
Firmness.
Firmness.
No, we don't
That's the
have-
word. There it is. Bingo.
No, we just have positioning. It's a split king. It goes. So it doesn't. No firmness. No nothing.
So does it fold up like
We ain't
or
that
just like
fancy.
up and down?
like a hospital bed, dude.
Okay, yeah.
Back left. Your legs can elevate your legs. It's perfect for illness and old people. We've got a legit
Perfect
old
for
people.
geriatrics.
Yeah, we don't fucking use it. We just use it as
You
a
don't sit up in
reminder.
bed at all?
Never.
We don't even have
Well,
a
you guys
TV.
don't
might.
even
I was
have a
gonna say you
TV
guys
in
don't
our
have a
room.
TV in your.
We don't watch TV.
We're gonna fucking
Ever.
get one now that the Verbo's done. Though we've got 6 extra TVs, so they got to go somewhere.
Anyone need a TV?
Yeah.
TV's for you. TV's for you.
You get
get
a
a
TV. Yeah, like Oprah.
Jinx.
Nice. Jinx. I wonder if
God, you guys are so cute right now. Holding hands,
All right,
going to
we
sleep.
Listen,
It's weird
man.
that we talked about that because last night I was thinking, this is so bizarre. Like we never hold hands falling
I
asleep.
wasn't thinking shit because I was asleep. Because I was probably the first
You
one
probably
to sleep.
fell asleep and Lindy grabbed your hand,
No,
and now
he
she's
grabbed
saying
my
you fell
hand.
asleep in unison.
Yeah.
He probably
Doesn't
did it.
matter.
In,
We're
he
not
probably did it in
14.
his sleep.
It's fine.
Listen,
We're not 14. Don't
We
try
do
to
shit
grab
like
a boob.
that's what happens when you want to have sex, but you're too tired from a long day of
You're like, hey, I
exhausting work at
acknowledge
a
you're
Verbo.
there, and I love
Yeah.
you, but I'm going to.
That was
sleep.
that was hand sex, is what that was. That's what we called. That was my way of saying I want to touch you, but this is it. I'm not going. I'm sleeping already. I told you. All right, cool. Well, that's a fun way of introducing the podcast. Let's do this. Let's check the agenda here because certainly this is about as good as the paper that it was written on, which is garbage.
We don't have an agenda. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's get ready to rumble.
That's pretty good.
Wow.
That's pretty
I'm
good.
It used to be
impressed.
better. I haven't worked on it in a while.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages.
That's more like a circus announcer.
Yeah. Well, Bruce Buffer should have
Come
done that
on,
too.
come on.
You should, Bruce, and you should both have done that. All right. So I have no
fun.
fucking idea where we were.
So why are we here, Matthew?
Yeah. So
why are we here?
All right. So the purpose of the reason why I say purpose, I'm trying to incorporate the word in trying to incorporate the word in literally every aspect of my life and every day because it's so powerful. And a couple of years ago, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started to understand the impact and the power of that word. Purpose. I'm trying to incorporate it in my everyday life, but not everyday life, in every aspect of my life every day, as sort of a reminder to me and those around that the impact that word can actually have.
The impact of having a purpose.
Yeah, the impact of purpose. Yep, and an individual purpose, which is the purpose.
More so individual purpose.
Yeah, one. So number one, the reason why I wanted to start a podcast was because when I first started getting into podcasts a few years ago, it reminded me a lot of talk radio. My mom was always into talk radio, and even when I was a kid, the guys on the radio always sounded like they were having so much fun, where they would get on and fucking laugh and tell jokes and shit. So I was always kind of intrigued by radio. And then when podcasting came along, and I realized, oh shit, like these guys have set up their own radio studios and anymore.
In their house.
Right. In their in their kitchens, in their basements, in their, pantries and shit. Like they were setting up studios. And it always kind of intrigued me, like, oh, that's dope. They basically have their own radio station. And you can now, in today's age, you can
Talk
just
about
launch your
whatever
own
you
radio
want.
station, do whatever the fuck. So anyway, I was always kind of intrigued. So number one, my interest was fun because I'm like, if nothing else, we should do a podcast where me and my friends basically just do the same thing we do anyway when we get together. Both me and my friends, my business associates, even employees, team members, we tend to always have a lot of fun. We should just record that
Always.
shit.
It's just fun talking into a microphone.
Well, see, I did not consider that.
That's the fun.
That was a new sort of fun.
Exactly. When we hooked up all the mic, we were like, whoa.
we
this
just
is
bring
awesome.
everyone into the podcast room,
Yeah.
and now we just sit and talk. Instead
Hey,
of
do you wanna
talking in
talk?
the living
Come on.
room or the kitchen
Yeah.
or outside, we bring them into our podcast room.
Yeah. Like as soon as this conversation starts getting good, instead of being like, shit,
If there was like comfortable chairs in here, this would be perfect.
You bitch.
Working on it.
With these comfortable ass chairs. So this is phase 1 of the studio.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Fuck yeah, dude. It looks great. Ian's worked his ass off on this studio.
Ian Gilmore, everybody.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Ian Gilmore. Thank you, my friend.
You should talk more about phase 2 so people know what to expect.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is phase 1. Ian kicked ass on this. I did
Nothing.
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 Yep. Per usual.
You got that hat
did-
made.
I did
The
nothing.
people.
I did. I didn't do that either. So that was actually delivered to me by
The idea was his.
Ilyssa. So Brooke and Paige and Ilyssa are working their ass off on the whiskey stuff. Ian is working his ass off on the studio stuff. Zach's worked moderately not hard.
About as hard as you.
Yep. On preparing for his role. My wife has been studying podcasting and has been
Wait, what?
actually, yeah. So she's not studying.
She take a course? What the
No,
fuck did
she's
she
been
do?
listening. She's been doing what I do to whiskey.
listening to podcasts.
Yeah. But there's a difference between
Not teaching
listening.
you anything.
Yeah. So there's a difference between listening to a podcast and studying a podcast. So when Lindy comes home with critique,
Which podcast?
several. Oh, one of the ones.
Lots.
Yeah.
My number 1 is Andy Frisella.
Okay.
My number 2 is Sean Whalen and Saxony.
Oh, so she's, yeah.
Sean and Sax show. They're
I didn't know you were listening to Frisella too. That's dope though. I thought she was going to say her number 1 was Sean and Sax. She likes Sax and listening to her and, hearing her. She's kind of the,
I haven't listened to that one much. So
yeah, she's kind of the yin to Sean's yang. She's a little crazy though.
so is he.
Well, he's a lot of crazy. She's a little crazy. A lot more crazy than you. And by crazy, I mean kind of assertive. She's more assertive and more alpha type than you are.
Anyway.
Not alpha.
Anyway, the purpose, we digress on one.
Let's talk about somebody else's podcast on
Yeah.
our podcast.
So,
how great it is.
So what can they
Yeah,
expect
they just
on where
launched.
this?
Their podcast isn't great at all. Like they're still learning, which is dope as fuck because he's such a talent and she's so high quality of an individual. But to watch them get on a podcast, I can totally see they're just in the early
can
stages.
relate.
Yeah, very. I mean, they launched their first Lions Not Sheep podcast fucking not long ago. I mean, our studio was almost built when they were launching there. We're on the same time. So I'm hopeful that, we can kind of watch their progression and watch, like Frisella dude is like 10 or 12 years ahead of us. Like, plus he's a billionaire. Like he's been at this for so long and he's so good. If anything, he's like I fucking want to be like him podcast.
So,
He's seasoned
phase
fucking
1, you're looking at it.
This is it, phase 1. And then phase 2, we're going to move on. Thank you. We're going to do some shit. We're going to make it the rest of the studio probably right before phase 3.
So yeah, it's going to be like a chill, like a whiskey cigar lounge type feel, and talking about faith, family, friends. What we're at.
Yeah, faith
friends,
for
family,
sure.
freedom.
Freedom, faith, family, friends.
Well,
freedom,
we'll do like whiskey.
And whiskey.
We'll drink some whiskey.
Yeah.
Do some reviews, critique it. Probably that'd be
And business. Don't forget about business.
Hold on, I'm just talking about the whiskey platform right now.
Whiskey is
Fucking
very
Ian.
important.
So we'll drink the whiskey. And those will probably be more just like bullshitting episodes.
So hold on. What are we talking about? Are we talking about the format of the episodes or are we talking about the studio? Your
We
choice,
just got done.
bro.
You just said, right? We're gonna do some cool shit in the studio. That was your.
All right. Yeah, we're going to do
Did
some
you
cool
want to
shit.
get more specific?
No, I think Ian wants me to be more specific, but I don't think I want to. We're going to do some more cool
We're
shit.
going to
to
do
the
some
studio.
cool shit to make it a whiskey cigar lounge vibe.
And then after that, we're going to go to phase 3 and everything we do will be moved
Oh, see, I
to
didn't
the
know
actual.
there was more phases.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So after that, everything we do, we will move to the actual distillery once that's built. So we've got some time, maybe a year, maybe more. And then we'll move this and broadcast this podcast right from the studio in the distillery, which will kind of have a dope feel. And now you're moving on to the formats.
Yeah. So the different formats, right? The most laid back one will probably just be drinking whiskey, evaluate different
My
whiskeys,
favorite one.
checking them out, trying them. And those will probably be more like talking about the whiskey itself and the business or the distillery.
That's right. So we've got 3
highlighting
basic formats. So the first format is going to be, we've named this already the, It's the Whiskey Talkin'. Which came from my brother. Yeah, I got to give shout outs.
brother?
So Kriza came with the It's the Whiskey Talkin'. The moment I explained the formats of the show, because he of course was like, "Hey man, what's up with the podcast? What's the format? What are you going to talk about?" And I was like, "Well, here's you go." So I laid it out, and he texted me 3 minutes after we hung up. It's the Whiskey Talking should be the title. I'm like,
I love it.
Fucking done. So now I got to get that trademarked. Fuck. Well, hopefully that happens. If not, Chris, a great idea, but somebody already fucking had it, which is common in business, especially
Turns
this
out
type.
a lot of people have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, turns out, and then
have
they
already
protect
taken them all.
They protect their purpose.
Yeah, surprised we got that one.
Anyhow, so the first
too.
format is it's the Whiskey Talking, which will be just my friends and family or whoever coming in, and we're going to roundtable, similar discussion. This would be the most like this episode while drinking whiskey. However, we will introduce a tasting of said product. So we'll do a
You
highlight.
said it better than I did.
Yeah, a whiskey. I'm probably gonna.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah, on the things that are my ideas. On the things that are your ideas, you're probably gonna have to do.
We'll see.
But yeah, so we'll highlight one whiskey. We'll do a tasting, and we will do a review. But instead of like a panel where we sit and we talk about notes and all that shit that I'm not good at. Instead, we're going to talk about shit that's going on, family, friends, and we will also talk about the whiskey that we highlight. That's format number 1. Format number 2 is going to be current events. The current events are where it is going to be Zach and myself, and perhaps my wife if my wife still has a real job. Zach doesn't have to show up to work.
Sort of.
Just kidding. Yeah, so these two
shows up every
have
day.
real jobs. Yeah, Lindy has a really strict boss.
Really strict.
So Lindy is on
Never
a
hear this.
tight
hopefully.
rope. She does. Why can't that
rope.
be a part of the fucking show?
Yeah, I can.
She's got a really fucking strict
Real
boss
talk.
who's got her on a
In the
tighter
army.
rope where
In the army, by the way. I'm in the army.
in the army. And Zach's boss has a much
Looser
rope. And guess who is producing more? The one with the looser
Hey,
rope. Take
shocker.
notice, leaders, if you fucking
Shocker.
put somebody who isn't built to be micromanaged on a fucking short leash, their production 100% of the time will go down. If you let a free floater float that is a known producer and you
Because
let them...
a shitbag's a shitbag, regardless of the
Right.
leader.
And when you try and micromanage a non-shitbag, you turn the non-shitbag into said shitbag. That's a leadership note for not only whoever the fuck is listening. I have no problem telling
We'll
your
get
boss
there.
what it's like to be a leader, but
We'll get there.
yeah. So the next format of the show is a current events type small talk table with myself and Zach for sure.
It's part of the freedom.
Yeah.
Yes.
The fuckery that's going on in this
Yeah,
country.
and there
right
we will talk about surely some politics. I think everything is political because the politicians want it that way, but not everything is really political. We're going to talk
hardly
about
any of it.
freedom. We're going to talk about the shit that's going on, and someone said the fuckery. Was that you?
She said it.
Nice word, babe. The fuckery is the word. The fuckery.
It's the only way to describe it. Right now.
The anti-freedom fuckery. So we've got some more F's.
Anti-freedom fuckery.
Yeah, the anti-freedom
Or the-
fuckery going
Can we
on.
get that trademarked? Can we look into
Anti-freedom
that?
fuckery or
Look
just
into that.
freedom fuckery?
Just the word fuckery. Is that trademarked?
I don't know. You'd be surprised at the shit that is taken and not taken. Anyhow, so moving on. Before I go into the next one, I'm going to pour my next whiskey, which is now probably somewhere around my third,
Oh, who's counting though?
because we got
Who's
started.
counting?
We got started drinking before we got started recording.
As
We
always.
couldn't wait. I
I think
know.
that's probably going to be the case.
I
a lot
know.
of time.
We're always like, well, we should wait until we start to pour our drinks, and then
I'm thirsty.
we're just like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. That's good. I'm in good company there. So anyway, and then the third format is going to be guess.
Mostly entrepreneurship, geared towards entrepreneurship.
Exactly. That's where we'll
How
talk.
they built their business, what business they're building.
That's correct.
And I'm excited for it. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
I think that's going to be really cool.
I do too. Because
yeah.
everybody's approached business differently, but they all have similar like personality traits that make it happen. You know what I mean? So
That's right. Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
Similar personality traits, similar,
The successful ones all have the winning trait
yeah.
to be successful and win.
Yeah. The winning trait as well as the winning methods to the trait. So hopefully we can get some cool, I assume we'll start off with some local people. I mean, I've got some really successful, badass people in my network. I know you do too. I know you do too. So we'll get some really cool, awesome people in here that are our friends and business associates and colleagues and local people.
I think the main goal is with that one, hopefully you learn something. If you are an entrepreneur and trying to start a business, you learn something about leadership or
Yeah.
starting a business. And with like freedom talk. Hopefully it opens up discussions. I don't think we're here to talk about trying to change people's minds, but let's start the discussions, Let's talk about this stuff versus what's going on now where you just judge somebody based off of.
Yeah. So that's the format. And going back to the purpose for me wanting to do this, the intent behind this whole podcast.
That's good.
The first one was fun. And I think no matter what, I mean, if the thing succeeds, first of all, it's going to fucking succeed. Failure is not an option. We've got a ton of money invested and future money invested, things that you don't even see yet invested in this podcast. So it doesn't have a choice to fucking fail. I'm not going to let it fail. And neither the fuck are you. And certainly
that is not the plan.
no, fuck no, it never is. But it's not going to happen because the only way you can fucking fail is if you quit. And we're not going to quit.
We're not quitting.
We've
We're
got
not quitters.
No,
We're not quitters.
We are all in.
We got all the time in the world.
So the first part was no matter what we're going to get out of it, it's going to be fucking fun. It's going to be awesome with my family. It's going to be awesome with my fucking
Every
dearest of
once
friends.
in a while, I think the kids might come on too. And
Oh yeah, dude!
interview
In the
Cora.
setup, we've already had so much fun on this. In the setup, our kids come in. They love. I mean, it's a natural thing. If you've never been in a studio, come, put the headphones on, get on the microphone. A normal everyday conversation is brought to fucking life with these
Yeah.
headphones
It's
and
so
microphones.
fun.
It's
Yeah.
so
It's
weird.
so dope.
It's so
Yeah.
weird and so fun.
So that is already held true. We knew we were going to get fun, and boom, we've got fun already, and I anticipate that to continue. And then part two is I preach all the time to people. Get out there and speak your mind, okay? It's so easy. We all have platforms. You have social media. You are afraid to put your beliefs out there, and you're sitting silent while, in my opinion, a lot of what's happening is complete destruction of our society, of our country, and in most cases, the world. And I preach and preach that people aren't using their platforms. And I get on social media and I'll like put my opinion out there. And I always tell everyone, hey, like your social media you're using it as your highlight reel and as your brag book for everybody to see. But the reality is your life isn't that fucking great. Your highlight reel is not an accurate depiction of your life. And
Very rarely.
it's almost never. You know what? I think very rarely. I'm not going to say never, but almost never is it an accurate depiction of your actual life. Instead, you've got issues, you've got problems, and that's what we need to be talking about because that's how we make people better. That's how we let people know that they have to have a purpose. And ultimately, what I realized was that all the shit I was talking about everybody and all the you should do this, I was leaving a whole bunch of potential on the table. And essentially, I decided I'm going to go all in on the shit I talk about. So maybe I should take the initiative. I know plenty of people that could set up a podcast studio. I mean, I don't know. You can probably set up what's the cheapest podcast studio you could set up?
You could do it on your phone.
You can do it on your phone, which everyone has. Great point. I mean,
Zach and I did it for $700 back in the day, I believe.
Oh, yeah,
Dude,
we did. Super cheap.
you can you can literally use your voice. Now, I'm amongst the luckier of them where I've gotten, to invest real money into it. Well, I say real money. I mean, some money. The reality is I wanted to lead by example by saying, hey, I'm going to put myself out there in hopes that to encourage other people to do two things. Number one, find your purpose. Purpose is everything. If you're anxious, if you're sad, if you're depressed, if you're stressed, finding a purpose and serving that purpose, like in its truest of meanings, find a purpose. My purpose is my wife. One of my purposes, one of my many, is my wife. As hard as it is, and as often as I can remember, and I'm far from perfect, and I'm sure she'll tell you lots of stories over these next couple of years about how imperfect I am, and we are. But I can tell you one thing, when I don't want to fucking do something or when I go sideways on her, I go back and I reflect and I say, that's my purpose. I need to serve that. If not, it's going to fail. And then ultimately, hence the name, protecting that purpose. In my company, we've got our company culture.
That just means buying firearms. That's what that means.
That's what.
Yeah. So so this is what do they call that? A double entendre or something? It's one, it's got multiple meanings or whatever. Yeah. Protect your purpose, which is why I think it's so fucking
Yeah,
dope.
it can mean
like how to defend your family. But again, I'm far from perfect. I go to the gym every day. We try 5-7 days a week, depending on if we're on or off the program.
The schneid, if you will.
Yeah, bro.
Get back on the schneid.
Dude, if little error, I am
Can we edit that out,
perfectly. No, that stays in, bro. All of the errors go in. But I'm perfectly imperfect. I go out and I know Lindy and I are we as often as we can. We work out together. We make our schedule as much time as we can spend together. We do it, but we miss the gym. I go out every fucking day. Lindy outruns me. I'm huffing and puffing. She's not, but I'm trying.
You're giving me too much credit here, but
Well,
we tried to do our best in every aspect of our life. I mean, our house
and we rarely succeed.
could be better.
Oh, fuck, dude. Fuck that.
We are just so busy that
I won't put you on blast right here, but
it's
Turn the
nothing
fucking
that I'm
camera.
proud of, but I'm proud of a lot of other things. And unfortunately, my house and what it looks like is one of them.
I think it's-
anybody that knows me knows that if you come over to my house at any time, it could be a disaster.
Don't
It could
come.
Be clean.
don't
That's your
come.
risk. Take
Yep.
the risk if you want it, but
But I think the overall arching point is find your purpose and do what you can to better yourself towards that purpose.
That's right.
Bingo.
First
Pick
step,
your own purpose.
That's right.
We'll talk about ours, obviously, but
identify your purpose, which,
we all
we'll
have
get there.
ours.
yep, we'll get there. Identify your purpose, recognize it, understand it, and then work relentlessly to serve the purpose. That people ask, and I'm not going to sit up here and fucking brag and again pretend that I'm perfect. Anyone who really knows me will know that I'm probably the closest people to me. Literally just razz me and talk shit about all of my imperfections.
We did it a lot right before we can't.
Dude, everyone. I was on my ambassador
Literally.
meeting. So two things.
But
I was
the
on my
things that
ambassador.
matter.
Yeah.
I feel like your purposes are something that you focus on and work on.
Yeah, and I don't care. Like, if I only have so many fucks to give. Like, I can't serve everyone else's purpose. I can't serve something that's important to you. I'm busy serving my business. That's why my house is a mess. Or I'm busy. Like, I've prioritized, and ultimately, I'm going to get to the point where everything I have, ideally, that is important, I'm going to be able to hire someone to do it. Or when my kids move out, that's problem fucking solved. I don't have Barbies and fucking shoes everywhere. I mean, ultimately the rest will smooth itself out, but the important things are, it's important to live a clean and healthy lifestyle, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, sometimes our shit's fucked up. It just is what it is. But anyhow, serving the purpose. I was preaching to my ambassador team earlier for my Serpro team, the importance of protecting our culture. The purpose of our company is to serve our customers. The purpose of our company is to serve our staff and our own people. Sort of servant leadership, help them grow, help them, excel to the next step in their life. And if our culture is crumbled,
I was going to say, but in order to do that,
Right.
you have to build the culture, get
right.
people to want to be there, want to work hard for you, want to serve the customer in the best ability.
that's right. And so
Otherwise,
much
you
of
just
that
can't.
comes from our culture. And this is why this morning I'm telling them every one of my ambassador team members need to protect our culture. If there's somebody who they think out in the field is being a shitbag and has a bad attitude and doesn't give a shit and isn't organized and isn't professional, doesn't take pride, these are our core values. If they're not doing that, they're fucking with their culture. That's their future they're fucking with. And they need to protect it by saying, hey man, I'm not going to deal with that bad attitude. Turn it around. Like, yeah, it sucks for everybody. And as long as we can find some purpose in this thing and move on, it makes it all better. So anyway, purpose of the podcast was to kind of get that energy out there. And I know sometimes my energy slips. Hopefully you guys will keep me in check on that with your
Nope.
We will.
amazing energy.
Oh, you will.
With your guys' amazing energy, which is why you two are on the show. But anyway,
So why am I here, Matt?
Yeah.
Good question.
So I'm moving into that. Right, Ian? What's our timeline?
I didn't get one of these.
I didn't either.
We didn't get
Because you guys had a couple more minutes. I was still
Yeah, we
letting
need
it
a
happen.
clock. We need a
yeah.
clock. here,
Yeah,
too,
so
though.
a session clock. We'll add that to the list of shit that
People don't
Ian-
want to hear us ramble
I'm-
for three
I'm-
fucking
yeah.
hours.
Anyway, so Zach, I'm going to start with you. Before I go into my purpose, which ultimately
You kind of did. A little
I'm going to
bit.
fucking rant about a shitload of my purposes. But Zach, what's your purpose? What do you want to? What are you trying to get out of this thing? What's your purpose?
So why did I agree to come do your podcast,
Sure.
Matthew?
That's a good question for yourself.
I'll get into that, but I think my overall purpose is family, like you said. I was listening to somebody earlier talking about like when they were single, like Sioux City. I used to live in Sioux City, Iowa, right? I was a single dude. Had my son, but he lived, 3 hours away in Lincoln, Nebraska, and living in a studio apartment, going out, doing whatever the hell we wanted, right? To most people, it might be living the dream, right? Now, as all you know, I'm married, have a total of 4 children, one way or the other, busy as hell, don't get any free time to myself. But for some reason, I feel happier. I feel more full. And that's all because of purpose, right?
Sure.
Now you have I'm a husband. I was a father before, but a weekend father kind of, right? But now I'm a full-time father all the time. Just my family is my purpose, right? Didn't need to come on this podcast to focus on that, right? But when you initially came to me with the skeleton plan of the podcast, we're talking about whiskey. We're going to talk specifically your whiskey is what drove me to help you in your endeavor. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about, freedom / current event / fuckery.
Freedom, bro.
So the reason I decided to come on is we'll start with entrepreneurship. I think over COVID, it kind of opened my eyes to helping. I wasn't doing enough to help local businesses, if that makes any sense. Because how many had to shut down over COVID?
Yeah,
which
course.
Obviously I couldn't have necessarily done anything to help that, but the masses could have, right? If more people were focused on helping small business owners, maybe some of those would have stayed open, right? And I have a lot of friends, in town that own small businesses. So if I can come on here, let them come in, tell their stories, help them in any way possible. I mean, I'm repping merch from local businesses right now, just something, anything, right? Eat at a local diner versus McDonald's, those types of things.
First of all, fuck McDonald's.
Yeah, gross. But if I can do those types of things, and help spread, some of their word, that's awesome. And then just the things going wrong in the world today on the freedom side, like if we can come on here and talk about those openly, not judge anybody, not point finger. Well, we might be pointing for some fingers,
Definitely pointing fucking.
hopefully just open the dialogue. Like,
Sure.
I don't think we're necessarily going to flip people. But if we can just open the dialogue, hopefully they see things from a different point of view.
Fuck yeah.
Maybe we'll see something from a different point of view.
I hope so, and I'm certain that's the case.
I hope so too. But just to get on here and not just sit back and be a bystander while the world burns, and hopefully we can talk about some things that matter and help the world move in a better direction.
I think another word to add to that, Zach, what you're trying to do too is also unite and stop the division.
Unite. Thank you. Everything's
powerful
so
word.
fucking divided right now. It's insane, dude. Like, if you're a little bit right or a little bit left, you might as well be extreme right
all the
or
way.
left.
You're
like,
a MAGA
there's no way
extremist.
you can be in between. But hopefully we can change that narrative.
A MAFA.
Change the change the
Make
Make America free again.
Make America free
extremist.
again.
You're a
Mafia extremist.
Yeah,
Mafia
so if we can
mentality.
get rid of
Inside,
those narratives, which are the narratives pushed, unfortunately. But just open the dialogue, spread the word. Let's talk. How do we fix it together? Not let's all split sides and then battle it out in the middle.
Yeah. One of the things you said is a couple of things you said. Number one, you said you want to impact and change the world, like for the better. We're trying to literally, like, people are going to think I'm fucking crazy, but not my EO people. Like, I've got a group of friends, a small group of friends. And then I've got these other business leaders who are other EO community leaders with me. Like, when I go to them and say my radical, off the wall, like, mega dreams that I have, they're like, fuck yeah, how do we get there? The average person looks at that and says,
They laugh.
yeah, they're like, okay,
They're like, you're crazy.
You're going to change the world? Fuck you. Yes, I'm going to change the fucking world. Because I understand how small the world is. And I see people that are radically changing the world. And I understand that they're people just like us. Like, they are people just like me and you, just like all of us who, hey,
They've actually done something
Yeah.
to start
And
changing.
sometimes
they're
it doesn't
making
have
an
to be
impact.
a big thing.
Right.
Dude,
It
with
doesn't have to be
social
a big
media
thing.
in 2022, in social media, like, you can be a small town country blumpkin ass hillbilly, small town guy, a small business owner, son, daughter, whatever.
So, social media is a slippery slope, though, because you could either use it for that or use it just to continue the destruction, mass chaos, and false narrative. And
That's right.
so
I think there's
And
you got to make it.
I'll hop into that
choice.
on my purpose because that's part of it. But yeah, we're gonna change the fucking world. Number one, you said that. And number two, fuck, I forgot what you said on the other.
It was
part that I
fucking
wanna
magical,
highlight.
though. I promise you that.
I lost it. God damn it.
fucking magical.
But
Well, anyway, whatever.
just to kind of put a bow on that, the third thing is your whiskey, which you haven't really
Sure.
talked much about, and I
Yeah.
don't think you're going to, is the business side. When you first started talking about this, the whiskey business, that
going
is,
down
I always kind of,
fast.
Yeah.
I
Well,
always-
I'm pouring them small.
no,
guess
there's
I'm
fuck me, I
driving.
guess. All right.
Sorry,
What am I doing here?
Sorry,
Jesus
bro.
Christ.
Go ahead. We're talking. It's a little sidebar. Go ahead.
I was about to get fucking sentimental too, and you
Fuck, I ruined a moment.
God damn it.
The whiskey
Sorry.
made me.
No, I was
dude,
just
it's
gonna
the
say,
whiskey talking, bro.
Ever since you started, I always like in the back of my head was like, man, how do I help Matt and get on board with that and do something good to help the whiskey business. I need to learn more about whiskey, first of all, because I'm a whiskey bitch. But
Dope.
getting there. We're getting there.
Oh, it's happening.
It's happening.
right.
But knowing you and knowing, when you get an idea, what happens with that said idea, I knew I had to jump on. I just want to ride your coattails and be rich and famous, basically.
Fuck yeah, bro. Dude, hop on.
Hop on.
Grab on.
Yeah, we're fucking. What do you think Lindy's been doing for the last fucking 15 years? Right? No, I'm just kidding. Listen,
She's
it's,
added zero
Good
value
thing I
to
met
this
you as an
situation.
E5 sergeant in the Army because
newly promoted E5.
that would
too.
be
She was, or you were?
that probably would be a little bit of the truth. What people from the outside would think, like,
yeah.
she's riding his
Yeah,
coattail.
you
but
knew-
luckily, I met you before.
Luckily, you were poor
Your
and a little
success.
You were
shitty.
poor.
You were a terrible human. You
Getting the
didn't doing-
general coffee.
doing nothing.
Good thing
in
we were
life.
poor together for a while.
You were getting the general's laundry when I met you, which is a
Look,
true
I
fucking
remember the
story.
Marchese's living in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Three
in South
three
Sioux.
bedroom.
Oh,
Three
three.
bed. No.
Sorry.
It was three.
Yeah,
In
your
South
boys.
Sioux?
Your boys
Yes.
each.
Oh yeah,
had
one was a
Three.
fucking playroom. That's right. They shared a room.
We shared
but
a
one-
room.
Yeah.
And we shared a room.
That's
and
right.
it was a playroom.
You guys have all been my friend down since fucking
Oh,
day one. That's why I can
yes.
trust you. That's why you're all
All of
here.
you.
Everybody else can probably suck it because
You
I
just
don't.
don't know.
I don't trust anybody anyway. But
talk about
the
that.
other thing is, first of all, thank you for that huge compliment, and I appreciate it. And dude, I feel the same about you. Thanks for coming along for the ride.
For sure.
And I know you're going to add a fucking ton of value and a ton of purpose. Keep me on track.
All right, cut that shit out.
You're gonna
Move
be
on.
awesome. Hey, you said nice things about me, bitch. So,
Words of affirmation. I forgot.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep
so
going.
Keep them coming.
the other thing you said. Oh fuck, I forgot.
Jesus.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. The other thing you said was that if we were to have early on understood the importance of community and supporting small businesses and local businesses, not just because the Golden Arches represent tyranny and global poison that's being sent out to our children, but because supporting a local, even if it's a national brand, supporting a local franchisee, which we happen to be,
Right.
but putting your money local and supporting and building a community is a huge part of what you and I and all of us initially discussed as the point of this is building a network of people in local communities, not only with the whiskey brand that we're running and launching soon, but here in Nebraska in our community and bringing community leaders on to understand that community, small businesses, supporting local people and unity and bringing people together rather than what the national campaign and international campaign is to
Agenda.
divide. The agenda, good word. What the agenda is to
Just
divide
lining
us.
pockets of
Yeah.
the rich more than.
Fuck yeah, of
Yeah,
course
let's give
it
these
is.
locals local
Splitting
people
us into left and right and red and blue and black and white and everything else they're trying to do, all that does is enrich them and fucking impoverish us. Like we're fucked if that. So bringing that community together, great point. I want to put that into my perspective on that. But let's move over to you. What's your purpose, honey? I just so happen to know, so I'm going to sit back and listen.
I don't know if you know.
I guess.
wrote- well,
she's
maybe the fuck
probably
I-
rehearsed this 1,000 times.
Yeah,
in here.
maybe I
While
don't know.
we've
I
been
don't know.
sitting here, that's it.
Let's
Okay.
fucking go. Tell us.
So, 2 or 3 years ago, pre-COVID, if you would have asked me that question, I would have said family. Today,
Now she doesn't give a fuck about you.
Fuck family.
today would be freedom. because without freedom, you can't do what you want, be happy, so on and so forth with your family. So freedom is probably my biggest purpose, which is why I think it's so cool that we are getting into this together, because we are so passionate. And
because you hold hands
we
and
go.
fall asleep
yeah,
together.
we hold hands and fall
crying.
asleep. No, I'm not crying today. Not today. Maybe tomorrow.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
But it's one of my biggest passions, and I think it's the most important thing that every single American should consider as their purpose, at least one in their top 3, because without freedom, we're not free. And
Good. Well said. Well
thanks.
said.
Freedom is not free, but it goes along with everything that we're doing and trying to change the world, trying to change the country, and not get everyone to be a MAGA Republican, just to understand that freedom is bipartisan. It is what we all need in order
For those
to
of you on
be an awesome country.
audio, my wife is choking back tears and gobbles right now, trying to prevent from getting teary-eyed. Those
But
on
I'm
video probably zoomed in on that.
I'm so
Ian.
passionate.
By the way, we're
how she
going to
rolls,
drink some
bro.
good fucking whiskey in the meantime. So.
Honey,
So, aside from freedom, the most important one, family, obviously.
That's why there are 2 of the F's.
That's why I'm here, is to provide for my kids and be a good
Role model. That's
for
what
them,
Yeah.
and to serve my husband. Not in the bad type of serve way, but
what's the bad type of way?
Not in the servant
maybe
type
I want
yeah,
you to
like
fucking.
we're a team.
I know
but-
what she means. What she means
Yeah.
is when you serve
Be a
your
good
purpose.
wife.
I'm one of her purposes, being a good wife, even though it is challenging at probably once or twice every couple years. Even though it's challenging at time, you have to dig deep. That's how you make your marriage work, is you serve one another. And if one person is serving the other and the other is not serving the other, if you followed that, it's a recipe for fucking disaster. But if both parties are not serving their own interest, instead serving each other's interest,
Also
there's always
not
room.
great.
There's always room.
Not to mention, my family, my side of my family, really isn't. We don't really. We'll get back. We'll get into that later on down the road. But
Oh, yeah, for
we
sure.
do not speak. There's one person who I'll also get to talk about later on, and they'll probably for sure be on here. But aside from that,
Who are we talking about?
Kunkles.
Oh, fuck yeah. The
Yeah,
Kunkles will be on.
but
Kunkles, for sure.
aside from them, like I just cling to my family, to them. So
Support system.
Yeah.
Tears.
tears,
So,
cheers.
Cheers and tears.
Tears and tears.
oh, here's to cheers and tears.
One thing that these listeners or viewers or whatever you call them, they will understand that I am
A crier.
Fucking
Yes.
crybaby, an emotional creature.
literally
Can we copyright cheers and tears? Write down all our copyrights.
hashtag.
Cheers and tears. Put that down on the notes.
Roger that, Batman.
All text broke.
But I
Yeah.
I'm an emotional.
I don't know.
It's
if
called
I'll
passion.
Ever,
Passionate.
There's nothing wrong with
Yep.
passion.
I don't know if I'll ever be moved to tears on this podcast.
But
maybe.
you probably won't.
Come on.
That is a goal right there. Mark it down. Let's make Zach cry.
Not much
We'll
of a
get it.
crier.
We'll
I
get
Not a
someone
crier.
on here with
don't-
the.
not really.
There's no doubt in my mind that I will be forced several times, often as fuck, be forced to hold back tears
Don't hold
and
it
or
back.
emotions.
Just let it go.
Dude, listen, when I
criers.
when I talk about something that I fucking love, like it brings me literally fucking emotion. I went to breakfast, went to Dunkin' Donuts and got an avocado toast and a sprinkled donut with my daughter the other day, and watching her eat a donut and just listening to her talk and express her feelings on the donut. Bro,
beautiful.
it literally almost brings me to tears just watching her grow. And
Some people.
Well, you didn't say daughters.
yeah, you
Jesus.
bitch. All of a sudden you're a crier.
Some people have asked me, if you could change something about yourself, what would it be? And I have always said,
Is it your ass?
being so, well,
sorry.
that too. That too. That's a big one.
Zach knows that shit.
I have the flattest ass of any human
Welcome
being
back
on
to the WB.
It's a long time joke.
Mississippi.
But if I could change one thing about me, it's not to be so emotional. And turns out,
Yeah, why would you
that's
wanna
one
change
thing
it? You
that,
don't wanna change that.
'Cause
I
it's-
wish I was more
because
emotional.
it's awful to sit here and not
My
be
wife
able to
wishes I was more emotional
talk.
for sure.
Yeah, but anyways,
So let it flow.
All right, so my purpose. Thanks for asking. So my purpose is simple. My purpose you all heard during the intro. I wrote it. Therefore, it's pretty simple to understand my purpose, and it's my business, my whiskey, my friends, my family, and fucking freedom. And most importantly, the purpose for all, which is what drives all of those. If you have the purpose and you can identify the purpose for the item, for the thing, for the concept, for the idea, whatever your purpose is that you find, it wasn't real difficult for me to zero in on my purpose, because several years ago, probably 2014-ish, I wrote down. I basically, literally, I was going through a real rough patch. I had my first anxiety attack, and I realized that I was just overwhelmed and overran with shit that I didn't have.
What
the
year did you
capacity.
say? 14?
2014.
This is pre-Serve Pro?
Pre-Serve Pro. Yep. Pre-Serve Pro. Yeah. In between
But this was
dynamic.
Sioux
I was still
City.
dynamic.
This is Sioux
this was
City,
a
though.
still 3-bedroom.
It was Lindy was in Sioux
apartment.
City and I was in Lincoln. And I'll get into this at a different time,
Yeah.
but
I'm
that
trying to put
story.
myself there.
So during that story, or during that time frame, I went through like a really dark time where I was fucked up. I had come off of like a moderately successful business startup. I was the like the president position, or the head guy, general manager for a roofing coming up in Commerce. Like I'd come out of the Army, and anyway, I was moderately successful. I was on my way to starting a successful career and a life, and I fucking fell apart, and I realized it was just overload. I was trying to do too much, please everybody, do too much for others and myself, and I realized I only had so many fucks to give. So I did an exercise with myself. I literally drew a plate on a piece of paper, and I was like, I gotta clear my plate. I gotta get some shit off my plate. And I was like, well, how am I going to do that? And I said, well, what's on your plate? Says to myself, I said, self. So I fucking drew a plate on a piece of paper, and I literally wrote down every responsibility, everything that I have, and everything that I was doing. And on that list fell like fantasy fucking football, 4 fantasy football leagues, Monday Night Football with this, my brother's career, like all the shit that weren't important and shouldn't have been at the top of my priority list. So I did this exercise years ago, and where I landed was my purpose, and ultimately the most important things. And basically everything else on that plate got fucking a black line marked through it, fucking gone off my plate. And I zeroed in on all the things that I felt were my purpose. And then I focused on those things. And anytime I was done with anything else, or anyone asked me to intercept or interrupt those things, me serving my purpose, and my purpose is, I basically just said no. And I did that for probably, I don't know how many years, 5 years. I still do it to an extent. Like if it doesn't fit my purpose, like it's backburnered, and it's very rare that I just have free time to go, serve someone else's purpose. And
But sometimes your purpose can be serving others.
all the time, my
Okay.
purpose is fucking serving others.
I was going to get to that
Yeah.
because you're making yourself sound like a selfish prick in a way, and you're not.
Well, I understand the purpose of serving others.
Okay.
And that is a purpose. Now, unfortunately, I can't serve every purpose. I have to dial in on what's my most important.
Yeah.
And I try and squeeze people in where I can, but ultimately it's hard. I can't serve every fucking purpose. And you've got yours, you've got yours, but you need to take some accountability. If I can throw some money at your purpose, I'm usually doing that if I can. But someone else runs my budget. Someone else runs my other people's purpose
and it's
fund.
not his wife.
It ain't my wife, but someone else runs
Godspeed if it was.
No.
my OPP, my other people's purpose fund. Someone else has that. I've got, $10,000 or $20,000 in another people's purpose fund, and that grows every year. Every year that
Every year I don't give money to people.
well, you've got to, once you understand the concept and the core principle of serving other people returns tenfold on you and you are able to give without the expectation of anything in return, that's when your life changes. I've understood that for years.
But also, it doesn't have to be monetary.
That's exactly right. Okay. But now you go into time. How much time can I serve other people? I've got to serve my own purpose this way. My purpose of being able to serve others, in a time, monetary, however I'm serving their purpose. My kids is knowledge and education. My wife is her love language and time and dedication to her and love. Like once it's all done, I only have so many fucks to give. And I have to be able to decipher, you don't get these fucks. So anyway, once I was able to zero in on those, and those are what's in the intro, is my family, my friends, freedom, whiskey, business. And whiskey and business are really just the two, are the same. We just plugged them into two for something cool for an intro.
Well, you have other businesses too, but.
Well, and the purpose for all the people, all the things, freedom is ultimately the reason behind starting this podcast. Because without the freedom, we don't have the right to our own purpose anymore.
So it was awesome, dude.
Ooh, that's
Freedom.
powerful.
Love it all.
Without freedom, we don't have our.
The only thing I want to say is you shouldn't have took fantasy football off your plate.
Well,
if it was consuming that
That
much
was
of your time,
very
That would be another F, and then it would just be too many Fs, too many fucks.
2 Fs.
listen,
Friends, family, freedom, and fantasy football. Here we are.
yes, if we would have, dude, Ian and Zach ran a fantasy football podcast. Do you remember that?
Yes.
They started a fantasy
It was
football
one
podcast.
full year. Like it was like a year and a quarter.
How many followers?
And then you had to get married and get her pregnant.
My wife, god damn.
And then usher in Matt with a podcast studio, steals Zach as a
Ruh-roh.
co-host,
Ruh-roh.
hires Ian as the producer, the executive, the EP.
Two best people. They've been there before.
Yeah, for sure. That's why.
Ian's been there before. I just got on the mic and talked.
Listen, Ian came up with
talker.
this
We need you.
great ass idea of we should do this, and I'm like, bitch, you think for a second, the moment I said, yeah, I heard you two fools were starting a fucking podcast, I wasn't like, oh yeah, keep going, guys.
This is it.
I'm gonna fucking need you to learn all there is to learn so you can teach me when the time is right. And
And then Ian went to school for it.
Yeah.
I was even smarter.
Yeah.
More smarter.
that's right.
Kind of smarter.
And here we are, a collaboration of minds and ideas. And
I'm more of a listener, and then I just chime in when I.
You can't be. It's
I'm
bad
not a
audio.
talker.
It's bad audio.
yeah, fill dead space. But fortunately, with me, there likely won't be any dead space. There
We all know this.
probably be more dead words than there are dead space.
It's okay.
We're going to have to edit a lot of your garbage out.
So you said freedom and purpose was interesting that I said that without the freedom. So the protect your purpose and the purpose of this whole podcast is that, and using all of our platforms that we're going to do, not only to promote the business, which is going to change the world. And that's a song for another day. But using our voices.
That's its own podcast.
That's its own podcast. Yep. Using our voices, and amplifying them across as many platforms as we can to kind of counter the other side, which is trying to destroy and diminish our freedoms and our freedom of speech. And ultimately, a few years back, I made the correlation of freedom and purpose, and how without one, you can't have the other. And it truly is the concept of without the freedom of speech, without the freedom of free thought, okay, our constitutionally protected rights of free thought, it literally strips us from our purpose. And once we become purposeless, we have no more reason to achieve anything, grow, self-development. We have no reason to move on to the next because we are purposeless. And without any reason for life, without any reason for what's going on in your existence, your skin, your
Being.
your being, without any purpose, there is no mental freedom. Without mental freedom, someone else gets to control
find your
you.
purpose, get better at said purpose, work to get yourself better to focus on said purpose, because the world needs strong, free thinking, free Americans right now.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, the reason why we have zeroed in on purpose and the protection of that purpose is literally without purpose, the world, without individual purpose, without you having your purpose, everyone in your community having a purpose and serving that purpose and growing, there will be no more freedom in the world.
The government will give you a purpose.
Of course. They take your purpose, they take your identity. And I'm on our, especially on our pilot pod, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but trust me when I say, without one knowing and everyone being able to exude that purposeful energy and make an impact on those around them, there will the right individual freedom will disappear. Like, this is literally how we change the world, is through purpose. We have to find a purpose, whatever our purpose is, then we have to serve that purpose. And once we achieve our actual self, we then have to protect that purpose. And if your purpose is culture or your family or your
fantasy football
business or fantasy, whatever the fuck your purpose is,
thank you.
Serve that fucking purpose. First of all, selecting and understanding what the actual purpose of life is a key element. Okay. And if your purpose is fantasy football, fucking fine. Serve it and fucking protect it. Now, maybe someday in 5 years or 10 years, fantasy football won't be your purpose anymore because you'll have a daughter or whatever the case is.
Right.
Or maybe you'll have a dual purpose. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, serve that purpose and make sure it isn't hindering you from growth. Serve that purpose. And once you've solidified that purpose's best position, protect that shit.
Not only that, once you identify it and work towards it and help protect it, your life just like, you're so much happier.
Of course.
You have a direction,
Fulfilled.
you have fulfillment, you have your purpose. Yep. It's just crazy how just with that little mindset change is going to change the world.
Absolutely.
For sure.
You want to
each individual person needs to get better so that we all can get better.
For sure, dude. I love it. Yeah. And I think
There's some that are just lost causes that we'll never get it. We'll never. But the purpose of this is to,
no pun intended,
if everyone listens and tells everyone about this, it could really be powerful. It could really, it's just very
shameless plug.
Well,
I like it.
Yeah. I've never heard anything like this where if you just focus on your purpose or what is most important to you in your life, you focus on that and you can make a huge difference in your and everyone around you, their life as well.
Listen, Lindy,
thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you for listening, and hopefully you come back.
Later.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.